evening, members of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. How's everybody tonight? I'm your host, Abe Cias. For those who follow on Restream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, let me share out this live feed. It's a special day today. So let me share this live feed real quick, and we get down to it. It is the 35th year anniversary of the Battle of Medina Ridge, in which I was involved in. When I was out there, I was, I believe, 19 years old. I turned 20 out there. So this is its 35-year anniversary today, and we're going to talk about it here tonight. I want to talk about certain things and stuff like that with you, a little bit of military, then maybe later on we'll talk about other things. Because there's a lot of things that happen out there in the spirit also. So how you doing, Andres Carizales? Hope you're doing great. Let me share out this live feed real quick. I know if people are getting notifications or not. Well, there's been a couple of people that said that they haven't gotten no notifications. But let me share out this to the groups that I share on Facebook real quick. I got me some good rest. But I do want to talk to y'all about something in a moment, dealing with something that happened earlier, but I don't want to look too much into it. There we go. We're all shared out here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. So who we got here? We got Andres Carizales. We got Jumpsuit Zero, Sister Beyond the Box. Yes, and I am wearing my shirt that my brother in arms, retired First Sergeant Brother Corey Stevenson, made for me and my friends when I want to go to my combat brother's wedding, Brother Michael. So I made the shirts since we were part of the Old Ironside First Armored Division. We're part of the Battle of Medina Ridge. I made the shirts with Old Ironside, and I shared with my two best friends that I really spent a lot of time with in Germany. That was always there for me, and I'll talk about them in a moment. I want to dedicate this live feed to my brother in arms, combat brothers that served with me. No, that's all military, but the ones that specifically 35-year anniversary of the Battle of Medina Ridge today that served with me, my combat blood brothers that served with me out there in the Battle of Medina Ridge during Operations Desert Storm. This is what this is dedicated to anybody that served out there, or even to people that serve that are in the military right now. But there's a difference between somebody that done serving in the military, which would be a veteran, but never seen combat, compared to veterans that actually have seen combat, that have been out there in the front lines, in which that's what we were. That's what we did. Well, as a tanker, we're in the front lines. We faced. It's called the Battle of Medina Ridge, which was the biggest tank battle out there, and that's a tank battle I was involved in. But before I share about the Battle of Medina Ridge, I want to get something off my chest. Something that happened to me earlier. You know, as I have my gear on here, have my hat on. I'm going to the VA because they contacted me on. They contact me. Was it the VA contacted me on Wednesday that they wanted me to go do my INR on Friday, or I said, to do my INR. I said, okay, I'll be there Friday. So then knew in advance that I was going to the VA facility to do my INR, which when I was going there, since it is a 35th year anniversary, I decided to, before I went into the VA, I put my phone up by the wall and I was going to take a selfie. You know, of course, everybody knows what a selfie is, right? And I was going to take a selfie, and as I was taking the selfie, I got photobombed. You could say, photobombed by somebody, wearing the what do you call it? The scrubs. And he said to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, you know, I hope I didn't mess up your picture." And I just told him, "Well, that's okay." And I was gonna wait for him just to pass up, but he stopped. And I said, "No, it's just that today is the my 35 years, 35th year anniversary of the Battle of Medina Ridge, of the battle I was in, and I'm just trying to take a selfie to try to get my. I was trying to take a picture to try to motivate my brother in arms that are still alive because we've lost so many, you know." And then he said to me, "Well, I'll take a picture if you want to." He volunteered, and I said, "Okay, I appreciate it." So I just stood by the wall, and he took a picture of me, and I said, "Thank you very much," and he went inside the building. But before he went inside the building, and we walked in together, he told me he was the head surgeon of the VA, the head surgeon. And I said, "Thank you and God bless you." Right. I went to go do my NR, knocked it out, walked out of the building, and, got in my vehicle. And I said, "Well, let me go eat some breakfast." So I went across the street from the VA. There's this place called uh, Bill's Grill. So I went in there, and as I was in there, I was talking. I ran into some good peoples that Mr. Mike Zapata and Dora Zapata, in which me and my wife know, and they're regulars when we go dancing, and we're part of the group that goes dancing. Of course, he's a Vietnam veteran, and we were there talking, and I was like, "Yeah, I was," we're just talking, and as we were talking, of course, I even know the waitress because we used to party with the waitress too. And I'm talking to the waitress, and I guess when they got up to leave, they blessed me, and I want to thank a shout out to Sister Dora Zapata and Mike Zapata uh, for blessing me with a breakfast meal on the day of the Battle of Medina Ridge. They paid for my steak and eggs, and I was so happy, right? Next thing you know, there's this guy sitting beside me, and he looks at me and he says to me, "You talk just about to anybody, don't you?" That's what he said to me. And I'm looking at him like, I don't know who he is. It's some dude, you know. And I said, well, I do know them. They know who I am, just like I know the waitress. What are you talking about? Did I just talk about to anybody? Then he tells me that he works at the VA. So I'm listening to him. You know, this is something that has happened to me throughout the years. Nothing new. He tells me that he helps the people within the VA facility, guide them to wherever they need to go. Blah blah blah. You know, and the only thing he's eating is grits, right? But the way he said it to me, you just talk about anybody, just talk to anybody, you know. So I'm thinking that this guy here was security of the VA facility, and he followed me to the to Bill's Grill, and I guess he's seen through the security camera that the VAs have that I spoke to the I guess Surgeon General, whatever. And it's not like I approached him to speak to him. It just happened that way. You know, I want to get this straight. To Terry, you know, I know you're doing your job. I know you're doing your job. Uh, but me personally, I mean, because you're doing your job, you're getting paid to do the job of the health and welfare of the people that work within the facility, and even for veterans that go into the facility. But when you said to me that I talk to anybody, hey, that's how it happens sometimes. You know, you run into people, you talk to people. Uh, I'm not. I'm going to say something here to this guy named Terry that he identified himself with Terry. I don't know. I know you said you were in the military, Terry. I don't know if you've seen combat or not. I told you when we were talking that I was celebrating 35-year anniversary of the Battle of Medina Ridge. So you chose, and I'm more than sure you can probably pull up my name because it's on the VA card. So you knew that it was my 30-year fifth anniversary, and the way you approached me, I don't think it was cool. You know that you approached me like if you don't know who I am because you know exactly who I was. Uh, and if you're gonna do a job in the VA facility, well, that's where it should remain within the VA facility because I didn't do nothing wrong to anybody. You cross the boundary when you follow me out of the facility and approach me the way you did on the day of my 35-year anniversary. You say you're a veteran, that you're affiliated with people, whatever, you know. Well, if you haven't seen Spiritual Encrypted Encounters, I talk about a lot of things to a lot of people from all around the world. So yes, I do know many people, uh, but I think next time, if you're going to do your job, in which your job should remain within the VA facility, because that's where you're supposed to be. You shouldn't be following me or stalking me just to see because you think you can do whatever the hell you want to do. If you want to see me a whole different way, then be a fucking man about it and say you got a problem with me instead of saying a smart ass comment or playing a freaking game. Because I don't got time for games with anybody. You know, so you want to be retcon one, you want to be above of your job duty or job prescription. Well, I'm the guy that can set you on your freaking place and get you off the fucking high horse. And I'm just saying it here on Spiritual Encrypted Encounters because it's exactly what happened. You follow me to where I was eating. You didn't even order no breakfast just to say a smart ass comment to me on the day of 35-year anniversary of Recon. Yeah, you said some jokes, but the jokes, you see, I'm Recon one all the time. The jokes that you were saying wasn't even funny. First of all, I wasn't laughing to your jokes because that wasn't funny. But the comment that you said that I talk just about to anybody is because you was looking at those cameras, surveillance cameras, and you seen me talking to the Surgeon General. So you took it upon yourself, right, to follow me. If you had to say something to me, or even if the Surgeon General would have made a complaint, you could have caught me there in the facility, but I didn't do nothing wrong. Didn't do nothing wrong with another. I even told him thank you. He volunteered, but what you did, that's not cool. I'm just addressing you right now. You're getting paid to work within the VA facility. You're not getting paid to go harass a combat veteran, right? That's what you did outside of that facility. So I'm just letting you know. And if you think that I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong, right? But don't be coming up to me on the time of my 35th year anniversary when we defeated the Medina Republican Guard and come and disrespect me, man. Because if you're looking for trouble, well, I am that guy. I mean, you say you're a veteran. I don't know. You didn't show me no ID or nothing of who you were. You didn't show me no badge of that you work in the facility for whoever you were. So if you ever want to man up and find out what Soren CS is about, my friends call me the warrior, then you'll find out. And I'll leave it at that. But anyways, now that I got off my chest, it's not the first time, brothers and sisters. Things like that happen in a VA facility. It's happened to me numerous times where they hire this punk ass security guards or cops or whatever the fuck they are. I don't know. I really don't give a shit what they are, but they always want to be above the freaking law, or above their job title, thinking they can harass a veteran just because they're working in that facility. It's just ridiculous. I've had that kind of harassment from even from nurses and doctors in the VA facility. That I keep my mouth shut when it happens in the VA facility, but when you're off the facility and you're coming at me in a way like playing little freaking games, well, you're not in the protection of the government anymore because you're in a different location where you're not on the VA facility. So if something would have happened and I would have whooped your ass at Bill's Grill or in the parking lot of Bill's Grill, it would have been a whole different manner, right? But you're the one that approached me in that way, not me to you. I didn't even know who you were, but the way you said it, yeah, I do know a lot of people. I've been living in Central Texas for many years, ever since 1991, 92 time frame. I've been in Central Texas. Yeah, I'm just getting that off my chest because I had to. This guy named Terry, short little guy, short little guy, trying to say jokes that wasn't funny, with no sense of humor. Just because he had some boots on, some kind of boots that he had on. I'm just saying he don't know who I am, and I'm more than sure he probably like, oh, this is one of those guys. Because he got the records, this guy he was in the Battle of Medina Ridge, all that are surface up that, and they want to come in and try to challenge the lion, try to challenge the warrior in some kind of way, being disrespectful. you know, Terry, if you're listening, man, the fuck up, bro. You want to know who I am at, what I'm about? Hey, you want to man up? I know the Medina Republican found out who I was, or should I say, who me and my brother in arms were many years ago, 35 years ago. I'm here talking about it. But in saying that, I just had to get that off my chest because of that, like I said before, it's not the first time somebody has approached me off the V facility coming at me in a negative way or trying to be a smartass, right? No, he just didn't don't know that I was. We're not in the VA facility at Bills Greer. We're off the VA facility, and he would have said anything negative to me, then he would have gotten dealt with because he followed me off. It's I don't know if he was a security. I don't know if he was a door greeter. I really don't give a shit what the hell he was, but what he did was wrong. If you're going to approach me or say something to me, you should have done it in the facility. We could have looked at film and you would have seen that I did not do nothing wrong. I did not approach that doctor. He approached me because I was by the taking a selfie, and he volunteered to take the selfie for me, and I told him thank you, and that was the end of that. And I did my NR and walked out of your facility. Handle business. I didn't speak to anybody else besides the the person that takes the ticket and the person that drew my blood. Then I walked out of your facility, right? Not your facility, should I say our facility, but you choose to follow. Uh, Anyways, I know the members of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters uh, don't want to hear all that, but I had to address the issue of what happened to me, get it off my chest, so we can have an awesome show here tonight. I don't know where there it is. So, Ara, and if anybody's got any thoughts or questions of what about what I'm saying, that's what happened, brothers and sisters. There's always somebody trying to, but that's the way how evil works, brothers and sisters. I mean, you might never know. It could have been a demon in disguise, just trying to because they know what happened that day. Okay, here we go. Let me look at the comments. Let me catch up to y'all. Yeah, that's not the first time that has happened to me, brothers and sisters. I already knew something was going to happen, especially when they call me on Wednesday that they want me to go do this blood work. Okay, I'm trying to catch up on the comments here. So this show is dedicated to all my brothers and sisters that served in the front lines in the Battle of Medina Ridge in Operation Desert Storm. He did say thank you to me for your service, and I told him too thank you for your service because he said he used to be in the military too. But the fact of the matter that he followed me and said what he said to me was not cool. Uh, that's breaking their job duties, right? Now, I didn't do nothing wrong, and it's just there's some people that think that they're above their job title, right? Their job title or whatever job you had. If you even if you're security, if I'm not doing nothing wrong to anybody, you shouldn't be coming following me. I know it was not a form of harassment, but I mean, I'm a freaking combat veteran. I know when somebody is trying to be a smartass, like, oh, you can't figure out why I'm here. You can't figure out why I'm telling you. You just talk about anybody, yeah, because you're looking at the fucking cameras, and you seen what happened. and nothing bad happened, but you're trying to make something out of nothing. You should have kept your ass in your seat and really do your security on the job security. You're supposed to do that to VA. When you follow me to Bill's Grill, you broke that. I wasn't doing nothing wrong. You're trying to make something out of nothing. That's ridiculous. Yeah, he says he was in the military, but I didn't see no ID. No, I don't know if he's stolen valor, or even if he says who he says he was. I don't know who this guy was. He claimed to be security. I mean, for all I know, it could have been a guy that was just stolen valor. I don't know. I never met the dude before. But I'm catching up on the comments, folks. Wait one real quick. Yeah, I finally decided to take a certain shot that I was told to take. I finally took it, and you know, doing the INR and doing that shot, finally got me. I slept all afternoon. Woke up at 7. But when I woke up, I was thinking about what had happened. And like that's not cool, man. How you doing, brother? Wolf. So this guy also said that he knew people. He knew people from what's the town that's over there towards where the wrestling goes, somewhere up there, where the wrestling goes in Austin or something. It was just it's one of the things that it don't take a genius to figure out what's up. Let me catch up to the comments here. There we go. Sorry, Rebel, no treats today, amigo. No treats. You ate them all already. But anyways, I just had to address that. I had to get that off my chest. Like I said before, that's not the first time that's happened at the VA facility in Temple, Texas. I'll give you another example of that. Well, it happened a long time ago, but I got followed to an appointment that was at a whole different location, not even at the facility. There was this guy I had met while I was eating breakfast, and he sat in front of me. He had all kinds of badges, and he was asking me all kinds of questions. And I was like, "Man, why are you asking me questions? Who are you? I don't know who you are. Why are you asking me all these questions?" He's telling me this and this and this, that he can do this and he can do that. And that's like, look, man, I don't know who you are. I've never met you before. I don't even know where you're sitting here, where I'm sitting eating my breakfast. But I would suggest to get up and go and just leave me alone because I'm just here eating my breakfast. And this was in the VA facility. He told me that he could do whatever he wanted to do, right? So I had gone to an appointment. It's a whole different location in Temple. I finished my appointment. He was dealing with checking my ears. This happened like maybe, man, I'll say like 8, 9. No, I was already with like I would say 6 years ago. So as I'm leaving the location, I see a car following me, and I'm driving. And when I looked at my rear mirror, it's that guy, right? That guy that said he could do whatever. He was following me, so I sped up a little bit, and I parked in somebody's driveway, and he passed by. When he passed by, I started following him, and I was right on his ass with a vehicle. And he got all freaked out, and he went back to the VA facility, and that was the last time I ever seen that guy. So I've seen assholes like this before. that think that they're above the law, that they can do whatever the hell they want to do, that there's no repercussions or no or nothing's going to happen to them because all of a sudden, right, because they're working in the VA facility, they think fucking they're part of the government, right? They think they're fucking high echelon or some crap, you know. They think they're freaking James Bond or something, you know, FBI or you know some kind of crap. That they have a fucking clearance that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do. No, you can't do whatever the fuck you want to do. There is consequences messing with people just to mess with people. You know, of course, sometimes you get a bad reputation. You know, if somebody's saying negative things to you, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Just listen to them say negative things to you, or say, "Look, I don't need to listen to negativity. I want to remain positive. I'm just here for my appointment. Tell me what you have to tell me without being rude. Tell me what you have to tell me with coming at me in a negative way. Just tell me what I need to do, you know, straight up. I don't have to listen to somebody trying to bitch at me because they think because they work for the government that they can say whatever the hell they want to say in a bad way to the combat veterans. You know, the treatment that we veterans have to endure in these facilities is bad, right? Hopefully, they can correct all these things. You know, I think if these people were that way, they shouldn't be working at the VA facility. Uh, it's not that I'm trying to be their friends or nothing like that. No, it's just you can't come out at a veteran in a negative way, thinking that they're not going to respond to you back. You know, but I know that within that property, I just say nothing to them. Let them say whatever they're going to say because that's what they're trying to do. Trying to poke the bear, right? Just to see if you're going to say something negative so they can write you up. So I just don't say nothing to them. So, anyways, enough about those individuals, right? So here we go. What do we got here? Brother Wolf. So let's talk about the Battle Medina Ridge. Okay, I remember. I think I have a couple of pictures, brothers and sisters. I think I have a picture where Brother Tony sent before we went out there when I did have hair. You know, I was only 19 years old. I think what it is with the VA facility, the people within the VA facilities, they don't want you to talk about nothing dealing with where you've been in the army. They don't want you to talk about nothing like it's top secret. They don't want you to talk about the good times. They don't want you to talk about the bad times. So since you're a veteran, you go to the facility, you have to abide by the rules. They don't want you to even, you could say, even try to get you to remember you're part of the United States Army or whatever branch you serve, right? They want to keep you like a freaking zombie, right? Kind of like how society is doing to a lot of people, right? You see it with the transgenders, you see it with the rainbow communities. That they got them thinking that it's okay to be that way. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with you. You if you want to be a fairy, you can be a fairy. If you want to be a unicorn, you could be a unicorn, right? Well, the way I grew up, wrong is wrong, and I'm the type of person to tell you straight up, hey, what the fuck's wrong with you? I mean, what happened? You know, what the hell's the matter with you? I'm gonna tell you straight up, what's the matter with you? Do you do you need prayer? Do we have to exercise some demons out of you? That's what I'll do. That's what I'll say. I'll pray for somebody, right? But that's society itself right now. And I know for a fact that spiritual encrypted encounters is being washed by these people, And like I said, Terry, just what you said your name was, if it was your name, if you got a problem, what I'm talking about, you know my address because it's within my records. You know my address. Come ring my doorbell and tell me you got a problem with me. You really want to be above the law, right? Yeah, and that's the way it is, man. That it's way different in a VA facility compared to a hospital. There are some nice people, but you see, these people get paid to do a job, and sometimes the job is not good. Under Obamacare, or when Obama was in power, was it Bush or Obama? I think they had a thing called the Obama blacklist, where thousands and thousands of veterans died in the care of the VA facility. The reason it was called the Obama blacklist because veterans were getting taken out. You know, combat veterans were getting taken out, and like I said, they know where the veterans been. They know if been in combat or not because it's in our records. It's in our JD 214 where we've been. But anyways, let's talk about. I wish my brother Tony. I know Tony tunes in to this. I don't know some of my other brother in arms tune in or not. Brother Corey sometimes tunes in. Uh, but let's do this. You see, you see what I'm talking about? They just try to boot me off because what I'm talking about, right? They try to boot me off right now again. Yeah, look, man. For those people that are doing that, or is it because I said the Men in Black? Did I say the Men in Black the other night? That's why y'all doing this. This people that work for the government. They think they can do whatever the hell they want to do to veterans. Uh, I'll do it again like I did last time when people talk about the Men in Black, or these people that are top secret people and all this shit, still part of the government. I'll say to the Men in Black and to anybody associated with the Men in Black, fuck y'all. I'm saying it right now, fuck y'all. Keep on doing your paper routes like a newspaper boy. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna delete my channel completely? That's what you're gonna do? Because I'm speaking my truth. I'm still alive, guys. I'm well alive, and I can say whatever the hell I want to say. I fought for that in the Battle of Medina Ridge. I fought for this country in the Battle of Medina Ridge. And by the way, there was some people that were in the front lines that were not American. Yeah, there were some people from other countries. But what I mean by not Americans, there's some combat blood brothers that were from Mexico that fought in the front lines of the Battle of Medina Ridge. They were from Mexico. There wasn't legal that fought in the front lines of Medina Ridge. There was one this far right there beside me in one of the tanks that we were on. After the Battle of Medina Ridge, probably like 3 or 4 days later, maybe that's what the government gets pissed off with me because I talk about everything. I remember some MPs came. They wanted to talk to him. They were asking him questions. They said that he had lied about his identity. that he wasn't American, that he was from Mexico, that he lied about his identity to join the military. So they got him, and to my understanding, they took him and most likely sent him back across the border after after the battle on Medina Ridge. So I got a question for the members here of Spiritual Encrypted Encounters. If he fought with me in the front lines, even though he was not legal because he supposedly lied. Well, that's what they said, right? They supposedly lied, but he still fought with me in the front lines. What would that make him? What would that make him? Would that make him a illegal combat brother? No, he fought beside me for the United States of America to liberate Kuwait, in which, and he stood right there beside me as we destroyed the Medina Republic, which will make him my combat brother. I still consider him a combat brother, even though his paperwork wasn't. At least he had the balls to fight the front lines, right? That he stood, that he was up there to fight the front lines. In which, to me personally, since President Trump likes to pardon people, right? Where, I mean, he done pardoned some people that got in trouble with the law for drugs. He pardoned some people. He's pardoned people, right? I believe this brother that fought in the front lines and many others that the same thing happened to them. They should be pardoned too, because at least they fought in the front lines. They were really trying to change their ways. Maybe, yeah, maybe he should have gone a different way or whatever. But I believe there's going to be a time, there will be a time in the near future when there's many people, many things are going to be happening, that a lot of things are going to be happening that we are going to need help from the closest uh, border to us, which will be Mexico. Will be Mexico. And I'll tell you what, there is a lot of fight in those individuals. There's a lot of fight. Not, I know there's illegal stuff there, but not all people there are bad. Everybody's trying to make a living. Everybody's trying to make a life, right? And America's supposed to be land of the free, right? Land of the free. I'm just saying, man. You know, I'm talking about this stuff right here. One thing that I disagree is giving people freaking certain medals, right? Just because they're actors or they're freaking people in sports, and any medals that they give them of honor and all this crap. To me, that's bullshit. Those medals should be given to the real people that deserve that, which is the combat veterans, the veterans that done placed their life on the line. All these medals that they give to freaking people from Hollywood and all this shit is bullshit. There's To me that would be no difference of stolen valor, right? Anything with medals should be given to people that did make a difference in a combat environment. No, just my opinion, man. When I see a lot of that shit, I click the TV and say, switch it over to something else. Because when you're giving medals that belong to soldiers to people that never served in the United States Army, then that's bullshit. I've done a lot of things, and many other people have done a lot of things, but that's how I see it, man. Just plain freaking wrong. That's like a slap to the combat veterans. Yeah, Donald Trump is president, is what president his second term, but he's not a combat veteran. Yeah, he's the top guy right now, right? Because he's the president, but he's not a combat veteran. He's never served, but he's serving right now, right, as the president. In which I think also that's another one. People that have never served in the military shouldn't even be freaking president because they don't know what's they're left from their freaking right. Uh, they're making all this shit about all this freaking files and all this shit. If you got the evidence, right? If you got the evidence, how come you're not locking people up? How come they're not in jail? It should be freaking locked up already. Everybody knows what's up. But to me, it feels like since he's part of Hollywood, I mean, he is part of Hollywood. Donald Trump. He had the show, right? The show, you're fired. The Apprentice, right? You're fired. So he is part of Hollywood. But it is what it is. The land is a certain way. I think Ronald Reagan was a actor also at one point in time. So you see what I'm trying to say? How they're all affiliated in some kind of way or another. They're all affiliated. They cover themselves with the same blanket. So I wouldn't be surprised that nothing's going to happen to these guilty people, to the Clintons or to none of those people. That nothing's going to happen. And if I'm lying, well, then prove me wrong, Donald J. Trump. Prove me wrong. Start locking people up. Even the people that are in the House and the Senate, there's a lot of guilty people there. Start locking people up. Evil. Those are evil people. Freaking eating little children, pedophiles, and all kinds of stuff there. How come people are not being locked up around? And those people that are not even American, like the chick with a freaking thing on her head, she needs to get sent back to her country. Yes, he was an actor. Ronald Reagan used to come out in a couple of cowboy movies that I remember. Came out in a couple of scenes. Yeah, I'm not buying talking about he's a chosen one. No, you ain't no fucking chosen one. Because if you were doing God's work, you would be running this country way different. Way different. No, but you want to continue division, right? You're like, okay, I'm not going to target the African American because they've been uh, targeted before when I in my first campaign with a Can't Breathe, right? That has statues of Floyd and all kinds of shit, which Floyd was a meth head, but yeah, the cops are illegal as hell. They took him out. So what are they going to do now? They're going to target on the Latinos. When it was the Latinos, they got you in the presidency and in the as president twice because there is a lot of Latinos. Twice they select you as president, but you know it is what it is. Yeah, the dude literally let her Ihan Omar talk shit to him, and he didn't kick out. I don't know if he they got. I didn't even see it. I don't pay attention to that shit because it's all bullshit. It's just they're playing a skit. They're playing a role. staged, right? I don't know if they kicked her out of there for disrupting or whatever. I really don't give a shit about that, you know. Yeah, yeah. All this stuff is staged, brothers and sisters. A lot of those things are staged. You know, it's when you can't say nothing or say your opinion of things, and they want to take that away from you, then we're in trouble, right? Then we're in trouble. Uh, when they want to, they don't want you to, they don't want you to say nothing. You know, they don't want you to say nothing about anybody because they want to lock you up for saying something. But how about the people that have done something? All these people on the that went to Epstein Island that violated all these children. How come nothing is being done to them? They should have already been locked up because anybody else would have been in jail already, right? You or me, somebody will accuse you of something, we would be in jail already. But how come nothing is being done to them? I believe because they're all they're in cahoots, and they're trying to do this lawyer crap. You know, they're going to cover. They're trying to cover it up to cover up the things, but eventually the truth will come out. The lie will last till the truth comes out. There'll be somebody that'll really break everything out, so the people can really see what the real deal is. It's just a matter of time. There you go. Jumpsuit Zeros or Ronald Reagan has no contest divorce, took divorce 28%, and 72% less to destroy the nuclear biblical family. Fuck that guy. And I guess they want to stop me but telling you the truth about maintaining Heavenly Love Foundation, about placing Jesus Christ first. They hate it when I talk about Jesus Christ because I am doing the works. Even though where I've been, even though I'm a combat veteran, I'm doing the works about having a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that includes, I'm talking to people on the other side of the world. There's some people that might tune in from Mexico. And I'm speaking in truth. We don't need to depend on no man, nobody in power, no governors and all that stuff. When you have Jesus Christ and he's the one that can bless you and heal you, that's all you need. But that's why they want to take him out of the equation. They bring all this other bullshit about UFOs, about cryptids, and all this shit in play to cause confusion, to distract the people from what's really happening. No, that's what they do all the time. They try to cover up everything. That's all they do. Cover up, cover up. If anybody's saying anything about us, let's shut them up. Let's shut up their channel. Let's target them. Let's mess with them. You know, I'm not worried about it because I know Jesus Christ is with me. Man, I know about Hitman. They've been trying to take me out for a very long time. I've seen the Black Widows in the hospitals, so they try to take me out. at the I know the system of what they do. She says, I'm a veteran. I'm expendable. I was expendable in the military because they can always replace me. So what do they do? If they don't want to pay people what they owe them, they eliminate them. If they eliminate them, whether it be physical or medically through Black Widows, then they eliminate them that way. Me, I just don't buy into. I'm one of those guys that I'm always alert and I'm paying attention to everything. I pay attention to everything that somebody says, and I can figure them out. I'm that good. I can tell you this: there's still a lot of combat veterans. They still have the fire in them. Once a warrior, always a warrior, and we're on standby. We're on standby and watching everything what's happening. That's all I can say. Uh, I'm not just a combat veteran or a combat warrior. I'm a spiritual warrior also, and I know what's to come. It's going to be a lot of. It's going to be about things happening at once. But yeah, you're gonna have to maintain your heavenly love foundation daily, brothers and sisters. But in saying that, let's talk about the Battle of Medina Ridge. Uh, well, the Battle of Medina Ridge happened in February 2027 of 2001 was the Battle of Medina Ridge that I was involved in. Uh, like I said, shout out to all my brother in arms, Iron Knights, Iron Knights, to all those serve with me. Uh, Old Ironside, First Armored Division, and others. There were there. Um, yeah, I want to send a couple of shout outs before we talk about this. Um, no, me, I let bygones be bygones a long time ago, where I had it rough when I was in Germany. You know, for the people I still consider my combat brothers, I know they were put up to do that to me, to come at me the way they came at me in a negative way, but I've forgiven them because that's what we're supposed to do. But I was able to overcome the obstacles that placed in my way, overcame them with flying colors. When people were trying to set you up a failure, well, I overcame that, which I'm talking about all these Bandingo fights, which I was undefeated 40-0. And I've forgiven people, because even the people that that were trying to take me out there, besides the enemy, there was people that I had a target on my back. They try to come at me in a negative way too. When I was out there in combat, you know, they attempted to take me out one evening, but I'm not even going to talk all about that. I mean, they literally tried to take me out. I've said the story how it was cold out there. I didn't trust nobody because after all those Bandingo fights, they had already told me they were coming for me. And you ever heard what a Black Panther is? It's a Black Panthers. Well, something dealing with the nature. It's kind of like Black Power, right? You got the white power, you got the Black Power. You got the white power, Black Power, Brown Pride, dealing with that. I remember I was on my tank, and they told me It was cold as hell. In the desert, it gets cold at nighttime. They told me, "Hey, come to the tent. You know, we got a cot set up for you over there." And my instinct told me, "Don't go." And this guys were NCOs, you know, two African American. But yeah, come to the tents. We got a cot set up there for you. So after them telling me over and over and over, so okay, I'll go. But I still didn't trust them. You know, I always follow my instinct. So I'm there. This cot is set up in the corner. The corner is dark. In the center of the tent, there is a heater. You know, they put. I don't know what it's off of. I know what's making it operate, but it's warm in there. So they leave, and I'm in there, and I'm seeing everybody that's in there asleep. So something ain't right with me. So I grab my mat. It's called a foam mat. I place that mat underneath the cot. Then I put the shelter half. The shelter half is when you have a buddy system. They have a half a tent, and you got the half a tent, which you can set up a tent. So I covered that, cover my cot, and let the sides hang from the sides. I grabbed uh, my sleeping bag. I opened it up, and I put all my dirty clothes in it because the tent was warm. So I put all my dirty clothes inside the sleeping bag, and I zipped it up, and it literally looked like there was somebody laying in it, right? Because my spiritual instinct told me don't sleep in the sleeping bag. So what I did when I set it up that way, I went underneath where I had the foam, and I laid underneath it with all my clothes on. I laid underneath the cot. So as I'm there, because you know, like I said, they told me they were going to come for me. I'm laying there. As I'm laying there, here like somebody running. You hear somebody running, and I'm underneath the cot. You know, the cot is, and I just hear like somebody stabbing my cot. In the military, we had bayonets that you hook up to the M16 with their long bayonets, and they're stabbing the hell out of my cot. I guess they think they're stabbing me, and you just hear there's freaking. I could see the bayonets going through the bottom of the cot. Then I hear them running, and I could see the guys that did it. The same people that told me to go in there were the same people that tried to take me out. This is out there in before we cross the desert to fight the Medinah Republican Guard. It was an alpha we were set up in. I seen them, and it was the same guys that told me to go sleep on the tent or the cot. So the following day, I'm mad, and I get the cot in my sleeping bag. The cot it's got holes. The sleeping bag, it's got holes where they stabbed it or whatever. You know, it's all ripped. And I go talk to the company commander. And I said, "Look, sir, last night somebody tried to take me out. This is what they did. I was showing the sleeping bag and the cot, you know, where you could literally see the freaking bayonet, how they went through. You could see, you know, where they try to take me out, right?" And then those two guys came up to him. They're NCOs, and they said, that I was lying, that nothing like that had happened. But I had the evidence right there in front of me. They were like, he's a dangerous person, blah, blah, blah. Then the company commander, he told me to give up my weapon to him. Literally told me to give up my weapon to him. After I showed him the cot and the sleeping bag where they try to take me out, I said, okay, sir, I give you my weapon. My weapon always was already locked and loaded. So as I pull out my weapon out of my holster, set it, put it on fire. It was already locked and loaded. I picked up the gun. Here you go, sir. And I'm pointing at the company commander. And I told him, after everything that I told you and what I showed you, you telling me to give him my weapon to you? When I've been a supporter of you all this time, you trying to confiscate my weapon and I'm showing the evidence what they tried to do. And then I told them, I just want to know one thing. Who's going to be the first one to die here tonight? Today. And I'm pointing at them to see who's going to make the move or try to reach for their weapons. Nobody reached for their weapons. Then the company commander told them, I said, you tell them for them not to even come close to me at all. Because if they get close to me, they're dead. Because they try to take my life. So I'm going to kill them. You tell them to keep very far, they better stay far away from me or they're dead. And then he looked at them and he told them, leave them the fuck alone. And he turned around and walked away. So there was a hit because I stood my ground. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Stand your ground to the level of the threat. It goes by the measure to the level of the threat. So I had to stand my ground. And this is not even facing the enemy. This is facing the enemy within. You've heard that term before, the enemy within. We've seen it through the cryptic communities, right? How, for example, PRT was being infiltrated from the enemy within the camp, right? Within their group. There's people that were pretending to be their friends, but that wasn't truly the friends. They were infiltrating them. Let me catch up to the comments here real quick. Fred, Tuesdays and Thursdays is open mic night. You want to talk about you plead your case? You can do it next week, Tuesday, open mic night. Tonight is I'm talking about the Battle of Medinah Ridge, 35-year anniversary. But anyways, let's go. Like I said, how about I'll give you an opportunity tomorrow. Uh, Aztec Warrior tomorrow. Join me tomorrow, but not today. Today I'm talking about the Battle of Medina Ridge. Yeah, if I have a live tomorrow, Fredo, you don't have to wait till Tuesday. If I do a live Saturday, you could come live Saturday, which is tomorrow. Well, maybe we might be Saturday right now, but I'm talking about the Battle on Medina Ridge right now, brother. But anyways, tomorrow night or later on tonight, I seen a questions of why did they wanted me dead. Well, like I said, back then there was racism within the military. You know, just because we wear the same uniform doesn't mean that there's not racism doesn't exist, in which it still existed then. When I entered, you know, there was racism of all nationalities, and I got targeted. That's why I got put in those Badingo fights. They couldn't. All they wanted is for somebody to beat me up, and I beat everybody. I mean, I defeated everybody that they placed, and that's why I had a big target on my back. Because that's one thing about whether it be whether it be the you know the KKK or the Black Panther or any kind of racist groups, they want to be the number one race. You know, they want to make fun of Hitler. Well, he wanted to be the number one race around the world, right? Well, no different. So if they got me to fight 40 Badingo fights, which I'm fighting 40 African American, and I defeated 40 African American, who's superior at that time? If I defeated and I went undefeated, they will make me the superior person, right? So that's why they wanted me out. They wanted to take me out because I defeated 40 African American, and they didn't like it because it's not showing them to be the how should I say dominant. And that's what happened. You know, I got a target on my back. They wanted me out. They wanted me dead. Okay, I'm reading the comments, trying to catch up here. I'm just catching up to the comments, brothers and sisters. There we go. So back then, when I see like UFC, boxing, and even sports, any kind of sports, man, that's I see that the referees have to do a lot with a lot of things, and the rules that they set up to those fights, the way they fight is bullshit. Because when you're in a real fight, it's there's no rules. There's no rules. Uh, so I had to overcome that. Then of course we went across the desert, travel it. We were training and training and training, and then that's when the Battle of Medina Ridge happened. Uh, in spite of everything that I was going through, I would always to the people that I defeated in combat. I would always tell them, look, man, I'd rather be your friend or your enemy. They put you in a situation as they put me in a situation. People were betting money. They were literally betting money. Most of these people that were making me fight, there were ex-drill sergeants. So I think something that I did have an altercation in basic training with a drill sergeant that tried to kick me in the face, and I dropped him. But then they're all surrounding me, and then this other drill sergeant hit me with a thing, and I wanted to handle business with a guy, but you know, uh, that's their job, right? But I'm still a person. I'm still a person, and the only thing I have to say to those drill sergeants that did that, I mean, if you want me to man up with y'all, I would have man up with y'all. We would have gotten it done, and I'm more than sure, just like I was 40-0 in my first dirty station that you sent me to, I would have come out of basic training with possibly there was three of them that messed with me with. I would have been 3-0 out of basic training. I would have been 30-0. What they didn't know is that I knew how to box. Sometimes they don't ask you what you know. So, I was trained. I knew how to box. I had been training for boxing when I joined, and then knew some martial arts also. But I believe that's how they set me up to do all that. But for those things to happen, so. But yeah, in the Battle of Medina Ridge, let's talk about it. I was in Delta 135 Armor, 7 Corps, stationed out of Erlangen, Germany, which is right by Nuremberg. Um, I had some good friends that became my friends. When I went there, I had no friends because I didn't trust nobody. Uh, I will go out with a couple of people that would take me out, which is my 2 good friends that stood by my side, that they knew what I had endured with the Bandigo fights and all that. I'm gonna send a shout out to those 2 good friends of mine. They were like my best friends there, and are still my good friends to this day. Which is the one I went to visit in Washington, which is Brother Michael Hopkins, and my good friend Brother Tony Melendez. Well, I think if I remember correctly, his name used to be Tony Melendez San Miguel or something like that. He had a long name, but we just call him. Nickname was Mooley. But those right there, man, they had my back. After they knew what was going on, they're like, "Hey, man, from now on, you're gonna be with us. If anybody tries to come and try to do anything, we're just gonna handle them." But those friends were my good friends. They were, before we went across the desert, right, to overseas. But the Battle of Medina Ridge, we were doing maneuvers. Uh, we It was real. there was a lot of smoke, not smoke, but the because of the burning oil wells, right? There was smoke and stuff like that. But I remember we were doing maneuvers, and there was some sounds, some horns and stuff, saying that there was some chemicals being dropped. You know, you could see things flying from the air, which stand for like nerve agents and stuff like that. You know, like smoke that was dropping from the sky. So, you know, we just kept on going forward from the maneuvers, and we stopped, and we're looking, and you know, they're like, "Here, we're going to sit here for a little bit," you know, and then they tell us if anybody got to do anything, you know, use the restroom or whatever, handle your business. You know, some people were shaving, some people were warming up in their MREs, and next thing you know, we just see behind us maybe like 20 feet uh, away from us, brothers and sisters. There was like, I think it was like 20 feet away from us. They dropped a grid of artillery, a whole grid, a whole line. Their artillery lands, and you see a big old wall go up in the sky, and it's probably like, man, like a good, I would say, 100 feet up in the air. It looks like white powder, but of course, you know, it was just a big wall, and you know, I had my mob gear on, so the first thing is I put on my mask real fast, and I start banging on the tank, you know, metal to metal, and then I jump in the driver's hole and close the hatch, and other people they were doing other things, and they reacted too. You know, we got in the tanks, uh, and we did a M256 kits to make sure there was no chemicals, and we uh, turn on the tank has a system that sucks all the everything out of inside the tank. You know, and it's got his old pressure system, air pressure system, and it came out that it wasn't hot, and we started rolling. You know, we was already moving forward. You know, we had our NBC mask on and stuff. It was seeing blurry a little bit till the M256 came out clear. Then we took off our mask, and that's when we were in the battle, Medina Ridge. I'm gonna talk about my crew. Uh, I was in a lieutenant's tank. My lieutenant was named Teddy. I don't know what you said their names. Teddy. I'm just gonna say their first names, Teddy or Theodore. Uh, my gunner's name was Joseph. My loader's name was Dana, and they kind of messed us up because we had a good tank with a good engine. Before we weren't that bad. Before we traveled to do the maneuvers, they made us give our VPAC to the company commander, and the company commander gave us his VPAC that was all messed up. The tank was all messed up, like the crew wouldn't do the proper maintenance or whatever. So that engine had no power, hardly any power. So that by itself, they're already setting us for failure. The same guy, the same company commander that pulled the gun at that was trying to confiscate my weapon. So there we go. We're trying to hang with everybody, but all the tanks are moving faster than ours because the engine is very weak on our tank. And but our gunner was the one that shot the first round because he spotted a tank in defilade mode, which means it's buried in the ground. So the only thing you can see is a turret. And he spotted it, and we had to ask permission from higher. So he spotted the tank, and we got authority to fire a round. He fired a, I believe it might have been a heat round or a saber round, I think, at it. And when we shot it, it's kill. It's kind of like seeing it was 3,000 and something meters. I'm thinking like 3,100 or 3,300 meters away. And he shot at it, and we destroyed the tank. It was a T-72. It looked like a lighter from a distance. That's how far away it was. That's a lot of football fields, right? So then he spotted another one, and we shot at that one too. And then all the other people started, because we're in the offense. We're going up this ridge. They were waiting for us. The enemy was waiting for us. They were dug in. They were in defensive in defensive position, dug in into the ground. So it's a ridge. So we're going up, and they got the upper advantage over us because they can see us coming, right? So I'm able to see their tanks can only shoot so far. I think the furthest they could shoot was either 2,400, or I can't remember. It was 2,400 or 2,000. I think it was 2,400 meters. Their T-72s could shoot that far. So the game plan was to keep away from the distance of the rounds. So we left the gap in order, so when they would shoot a round, it would lose velocity and wouldn't hit nothing. So that's what was happening. They were trying to shoot at us, but couldn't, because we had the gap in between that the rounds would run out of velocity. And I could see the rounds lying in front of me, man. It's like being in a freaking. I was a driver, right, and I could see everything happening. So as we kept on going forward, of course there's smoke from the burning tanks, and I mean when we got, we just kept on fighting, fighting. We spent all our ammo, and then they came and we uploaded more ammo. During the combat, we were the front line, the front line, and then we got back to fight again, and they told us to keep on going forward. As we're keeping forward, we could see all the tanks that were burning, and as we were going forward, I seen one tank that was burning, but then behind it, there was another tank, a T-72, and the way the T-72s will load up, their gun tube has to go up to load, and then it has to come all the way down. And then when it goes up, that's when they shoot. So I seen the gun tube going up, and I was telling them there's a T-72, but my gunner couldn't see it because of the smoke. It was blinding to not see the tank. So I told him to put the gun tube as it was going up. Then he started coming down. I told him to put the gun tube to the center, and I traversed the tank. And through my naked eye, I told him it's how much of a distance in front of it was, and I told him to shoot. And he said, I still can't see it. I said, I'm pointing. You're pointing right at it. And as it was going down, I told him shoot. And he said, I can't ID it. And he said, it was coming up. I said, just shoot. And when he shot it, boom, it blew up. The tank blew up. But I was able. The other people didn't know what was going on. So this tank was set up to the burning tank in front of it. It was set up behind it. So we were the farthest tank to the left of the flank of the line formation. So if we wouldn't have taken out that tank, the side of the tank would be the weakest point, because all the heavy armor is in the front. So it would have been able to have free shots and to destroy us. It would have been. It wouldn't destroy that tank. That tank. It would have destroyed probably most of the. I don't know how fast it would be able to load or not, but it would have destroyed at least two tanks, maybe three, because he was hiding behind a burning tank. But we took it out, and then we just kept on going forward. As we kept on going forward, that's when they told us to keep on going forward, uh, past the range or the gap we were trying to do, and that's when I started seeing people coming out of the ground, brothers and sisters, through Fox, I guess underground bunkers. Uh, let, let me do something here. Let me try to catch up with the comments. And if anybody's got any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. Uh, Fredo, we wasn't the only person we disrespected last night was corn on the cob. So if you're saying you're corn on the cob, because that's the only person we disrespected last night, and by you saying that we disrespected you, but we're disrespecting corn on the cob, then you're indirectly saying that you are Stephen Michael McGee. If you're saying that the only person we disrespected last night was a couple of individuals, and that was Stephen Michael McGee. I'm gonna try to keep it cool, man. But because the only person we disrespected was Stephen Michael McGee. Now you're saying you're Stephen Michael McGee. You know, I can send you on the way out. That's the only person that we talked bad about last night. But anyways, let's continue on. So they started coming out of the ground. Uh, Imagine seeing a lot of tanks coming your way. So I could only imagine what the enemy was seeing. You know, seeing the tanks being exploded, people getting gunned down. I could only imagine what some of those people were seeing coming their way. Because the Medinah Republican Guard was Saddam Hussein's elite army, in which they're the ones that normally do the damage, right? I think they ran out Russia out of their country one time. Putin or their where was it? Yeah, Putin. The Russian army they ran them out of their country. I think before Putin, they sent them packing. Uh, but yeah, uh, they were coming out of the ground. People, like I said, they chose to come out of the ground to fight. But how are you going to fight a tank with AK-47? Well, the tanks wasn't going that fast because the VPACs were sucking in the sand. So the VPAC has a filter, you know, and the tanks wasn't moving that fast. It wasn't going 25, 30 miles. It was going less than that. Uh, Ours was like probably like just put it there. It's probably going like 5 miles because our pack was already messed up. They didn't even belong to us. It was the company commander's pack that he had the good engine with the power that he stole from us. I'll say it like that. He stole from us, but he could do that because he's a company commander. But if he would have taken care of his crew would have taken care of his engine, then he wouldn't have had a messed up engine. I would put in the hard work to take care of doing the maintenance on our tank. So that's where our tank was going like 5 miles an hour. So next thing you know, as we're in the middle of the battle, I see people coming out of this holes, and I'm running them over the holes where people the enemies trying to come out, running over the holes. Boom, just soaring, hitting the holes. Every person I see coming out of the hole when they're crawling, I run over it. 65 tons running over the holes. And I could hear Dana's like, "Oh shit," which is it was my loader's like, "You done fucked them up." That's all he was saying because he's seeing everything. He's up there shooting with I think with a 240, And then as we're doing that, I see one come out of the ground, moving like a snake. When people talk about reptilians, he moved like a snake, right? And this guy, he was like maybe like I would say like 10 or 15 feet, 20 feet possible away from the tank. He literally jumped like a distance and landed on my front slope. Like he had superhuman strength, and he had a smile on his face. And then when he looked down like that, I see his eyes. What I could see was yellow, like yellow eyes, like he had a unclean spirit in him, or possibly possessed or demonized. So I'm praying to our Father, because I'm seeing the eyes, and then I start, looking at me, and he's got the AK-47 in his hand. He looks at my crew, and they can't see him because of all the burning tanks. So I have my 9mm in my chest, and when he looks up and starts picking up the weapon, I open up the hatch real fast. I already have my weapon out in my hand, and I said, "Hey!" And when he looked down, that was it. One shot, one kill. Hit him in the forehead. And I hit the brake of the tank, and he just flew off the tank. And when I did that, the other people that were coming out of the holes were shooting at me. I could see bullets ricocheting everywhere in between the hole and the turret. And I just closed the hatch and got back in there and kept on fighting. I just still feel when that happened that all those bullets that were ricocheting, that the Heavenly Father was protecting me because we had prayed the day before, and I'll get to that prayer of what we prayed for. So we kept on, fighting, and next thing you know, as I keep on going forward in the air, I'm seeing all the smoke. I see something black in the air that's not moving. It's just there in the air. It looks like smoke, but it's not going up like the rest of the smoke. So I'm seeing it, and I'm like, what is that, So I'll start praying, the Our Father for the crew and for the people that are fighting with me to be protected spiritually. As I'm looking at it, to the right, I could see people that have white flags. They're surrendering. This is like within 500 meters. We're real close to the enemy, right there in their camp and everything. And there's people that have white flags. They're surrendering. Then I seen the thing I believe it was the Jinn, or the Jinn. It moved and it flew across the battlefield, and it went into the guy that was holding the white flag. As it went into his body. Then the guy's demeanor changed. He threw the white flag down picked up a weapon and aimed, and when he aimed, he got taken out. And then he jumped out of that person, went to the next person. Same thing happened. They had a white flag, they dropped it, pick up a weapon, and it was jumping from person to person. So I'm thinking that the gen, as they jump from person to person, I think it had an opening. The opening was fear, and it was jumping from person to person, and many people got taken out that way because the gen was out there. Uh, I could see things spiritual, so I seen the gen. I have those capabilities to see things of the spirit. So I continue to pray for my brother and sisters. So we went a little bit further. They told us to stop, and they said to our tanks at the time we had a smoke. It's kind of like a smoke generator. So I turned on the switch. They told us to turn on the switch. It's like a not smoke generator. We did a smoke screen with it, right? So we turned it on, and white smoke comes out. We did the smoke screen, and we backed up. Right? They told us to back up. We backed up, and we left like a wall of white smoke, so they won't be able to see. Right? So we're backing up. As we're backing up out of the smoke screen, I witnessed like a lieutenant from their army coming out of the smoke. He's running, he's missing an arm, and blood is just squirting out. He's running in, I guess, in fear, and he's running so fast, he's leaking out, and he passes the tank, and that's all I know. I called that there's somebody with a missing arm ran past our tank. So then they told us to stop, and when the smoke screen cleared, I guess there was some more targets that were up ahead, and they called air support, and it came down on them like destroyed the targets. But basically, that was kind of like the end of the battle, Medina Ridge. That we dropped the target, we kept on going forward, and then we were on top of the ridge. We took position on the ridge. So on the other side, we could see downward, where there were like a couple of tanks left. They were back to back. They were like in a depression, and we had the upper hand because we went all the way to the top of the ridge, and it would have been easy kills, right? So they already had them locked and the sight set on them to destroy the tanks. But then that's when the president or they sent not, the person in charge, the general, said they told us to cease fire, and some guy came like in a truck saying something, and those couple of remaining tanks that were left from all the tanks were destroyed, because it wasn't just the Medina Republican Guard. There was other guards that they had. They were allowed. We let them cross back across the Iraqi border, because with the power, with the army we had, we could have gone into Iraq and had no business then. I mean, that was only within 2 hours that we did all the damage. 2 hours. We literally stopped the war in literally like about 2 hours. We defeated the enemy. Um, but yeah, I seen that enemy go across the border, because our job and our mission was to liberate Kuwait, which is to get the enemy out of their country. And that's exactly what we did. We liberated Kuwait. And there was like, I counted like 3 or 4 tanks in the area we're in, because of course there was other battles at some in other locations, but the battle we were in was the largest tank battle that was out there. That's where I was at, and we were the front lines. Let me. So what I'm gonna do right now, if if anybody's got any if anybody's got any questions, uh, I'm here to listen. And I'll respond to the questions you got for me. And of course, I wish I could get talk to some of my comic brothers to have them on here. That's what what I initially wanted to do. But they be working and stuff, so it's hard to get them to come live around this time frame. My brother Tony, uh, he's always working. Let me catch up to all this here. It's a four-man crew, man. Top notch speed back then would be like 35 miles, 30 to 35 miles. Top speed, 30 to 35 miles, I think. I mean, it's 65 tons, but with the sand being in the VPEX, it will slow the tank. It's got a turbine engine. I used to have some pictures, very gruesome pictures, but that somebody gave me from the battle, but I got rid of them because I didn't want to. We're not supposed to rejoice or make fun of the dead. Matter of fact, uh, we stayed there in that location where we stopped. They told us to ceasefire. We stayed there for about an extra 2 to 3 days in that location, just there. So we're there in that location, and that day that everything happened, you can see the burning tank still. It's dark, pitch dark, because of all the smoke, and then of course there was burning oil wells. So when the nighttime came, it would be pitch dark. That you had to use night vision. So as we stayed there, of course there's dead bodies. So what happens when there's dead bodies in the sand or dead bodies anywhere? Well, animals came. The animals that came were dogs. Believe it or not, there's dogs out there in the desert. They came and they fed. It was a nasty sound that even till this day, it still bothers me, the sound of when animals eat food a certain way, because I could hear them feeding of the dead corpse of the dead Medinah Republican Guard. Then the dogs be fighting. So when the sun will rise, they'll be eating all night. The sun will rise, their bellies are all fat where they've been eating all night. And that noise being out there, you'll hear it all the time where they're eating, like the 2 3 days we're there. And then I could feel something coming towards the tank at nighttime where I'm still in the front lines and I'm trying to get some rest, but it's like I can't rest because I'm literally in a combat environment. And I'm thinking there might be people in some foxholes that try to come and sneak out and try to do something, so I have to stay alert. And then there was times where when I did doze off, that I hear something breathing over me, like something above me was breathing real heavy, like an animal of some sort. But I could never see what it was that was doing that. And then one day I said, okay, I'm gonna set it up here, like I'm in my sleeping bag, but I'm gonna have my clothes on. If I hear the growling again, so I'm gonna jump off the tank and see what it is. And this is still in the front lines, man. Uh, so I'm hearing something growling, and got out of my sleeping bag. I have all my gear on, and I jumped off the tank. When I jumped off the tank, I seen this big white dog. You know, when I think Brother Josh Turner's talked about the battle, or somebody's talked about battle about the yin and the yang. Well, I'm seeing this big white dog coming at me, and the look it has the look it's going to attack me. So it starts running towards me, and I start running towards it. He leaps, trying to go for my throat, and he leaps and he's flying in the air to come at me. I kick it. I'm 19 years old. I was agile. I was fast. I kicked it in the jaw, and it started spinning in the air. As it was spinning in the air, boom, 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 boom. I was punching the hell out of it, and you could hear the dog when I kicked him. Went, then as I'm hitting it, the dog is crying in the air. You know, it's a big dog, and I'm beating the crap out of it. You know, and I had my bayonet. I could have used my bayonet. I could have used my weapon to kill it. Uh, I beat it up, and he landed on the ground, and he took off running. You know, it was crying. He took off running, and my first sergeant was trying to find out what the hell was going on. So I told them what happened. You know, that the dog tried to attack me. They see me as food. So then they put an ordinance to kill all the dogs that were out there that had eaten human flesh. The first sergeant that we had, uh, he had a little puppy from those dogs that he kept in his Humvee, but they killed all the dogs. So he kept a puppy. But all the dogs, the ordinance, they got taken out. Now, once an animal starts doing that, you know, they're going to see you as flesh. So yeah, we had to take out the dogs also. Sorry for people that are dog lovers, but these dogs were beyond dog lovers. I mean, these dogs were eating human flesh. The battle of Medina Ridge was a 2-hour battle because we destroyed them real fast. The army was big at that time, and we had the more advanced technology. Let me see something here. Okay, let me read this for y'all. The 35th anniversary of the Battle of Medina Ridge is February 27, 2026. Fought on February 27, 1991, during the Gulf War. This 2-hour engagement involved the U.S. 1st Armored Division. See the one there? Old Ironside, Armored Division against Iraq's Republican Guard, resulting in over 200 Iraqi vehicles destroyed with minimal U.S. loss. It says the units involved in that battle were the 1st Armored Division, 3rd Brigade of the 3rd Infantry Division versus Iraqi Republican Guard, Luminous Division. Widely considered the largest tank battle of the Gulf War. The location was west of the phase line Kiwi, east of phase line Smash, and north phase line Grape. Uh, a major victory for U.S. forces with over 186 to 200 Iraqi tanks and armored vehicles destroyed. So I have a couple of pictures here after the battle. We had to get acclimatized to their climate, so we're real skinny. We had to drink a lot of water. It's a whole different climate. Well, that happened like maybe like a week and a half later. Didn't happen immediately. It happened like about a week and a half later from that battle when they had a body bag detail, which my brother, I think Tony and Michael were in that body bag detail. I was still a private. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do no body bag detail. If y'all want to give me an Article 15, go ahead and give me an Article 15. I mean, it's not like I was gonna look. I was just gonna lose one rank, but I'm not doing that. So they got somebody. My brother Tony did it, and Anthony. No, they. So another thing I wanted to tell you before I continue is when after the war we get a thing that we have to do a ammo count, right? We have to report how much ammo we used. Which when they were doing the ammo count of that we used, I told them one 9 mil, one 9 mil bullet, and they're like, "What? 9 mil bullet?" I said, "Yeah, I had to use one bullet." Because I was reporting it that I used one bullet of my 9 mil, and they were like, didn't believe me. They're saying they were going to give me an Article 15 because they had lost a bullet, right? Like I said, they had a target on my back. So this after the war, I said, okay, you don't believe me? Go down the trail we traveled, and as you follow the tank trail, in between the tank trail, you're going to find a body, and that body is going to have a bullet right in the forehead. That's where my 9 mil bullet is at. One shot, one kill. So all the platoon sergeants jumped in with the company, with the first sergeant and the company commander. They went to go check it out. They came back looking at me like freaked out because I used the bullet, one 9 mil bullet, and it was exactly what I told them it was at, right in the forehead. But yeah, man, it's like you got to do what you got to do when you're in that kind of situation. If you want to survive, right? You want to survive a combat environment or situation where it's a matter of life or death. You got to do whatever it takes to survive. If you have to use your fist, whatever source you have to fight, you want to live. If you want to live for another day, can't give up. You got to fight. And that's what people don't want to talk bad about combat veterans or soldiers. Is the only thing I got to say to those people is, if you wasn't in their shoes and you wasn't placed in a situation that we were in, then you wouldn't understand what we had to do, or why we had to do it. It's about survival. I know anybody that's here would want to survive to live life for another day. So if you're placed in a situation like that, you're going to do what you got to do to overcome the enemy. But that's part of warfare. We did pray before we went to combat. We found out the night before that we're going to be in the front line. There was a lot of people. This chaplain, non-denominational chaplain, said a prayer, but it was like half-assed, and there was people there, and yeah, there was people there that they were still saying that they don't want to die and all this, and they had the negative thoughts. They were going to die. So I told them, I know what you can do, that we all can make it back in one piece. That's all we need. Just need to place the Heavenly Father first, place Jesus Christ first. There were some people that were atheists, and there were some people that didn't believe in all this. I said, well, I see you're complaining about it. Why not give it a shot? You don't even have to pray. I'll lead the prayer for all of us. All you got to do, if you want the prayer to be effective, just let's hold hands. So even those people hold hands, and we prayed the night before to the Heavenly Father to protect us, uh, and to guide us to become victorious in combat. And that's exactly what happened, because we all placed Jesus Christ first, the Heavenly Father first. We were victorious. And, they try to say, oh, that war wasn't nothing. The reason they say it was nothing is because we kicked their ass in 2 hours, destroyed them, destroyed them. The Medina Republican Guard was their best guard. We destroyed them, which we became the superior army. We're superior. They send the best of the best to the front line to fight, which it was us. Our unit was the best of the best, with the scores and everything of all the battalions. Were the best of the best. So they said the best to fight the front line. So of course you're going to have some people that were behind us, the second wave, third wave, or fourth wave, that didn't see no action, because the front line is defeated. Their first wave, their second wave, their third wave, we're the ones that just defeated them. I think I made a little video of. Let me see if I can find it. All day I've been making. You know, I've been tagging my brother in arms, and just let him know that I'm here still. The respect is there, because they're my combat brothers, and well, I don't know if anybody's seen the videos. Uh, let's see if I can send the video that I made this evening. Yeah, I made this video this afternoon. When you hyped up, you're hyped up, man. Uh, this day always, takes it. It takes me back. This date always takes me back to that time when I was out there. So this is a one I did this afternoon. I don't think not many people have seen it. I'm gonna play it for y'all. Here we go. Let me see. I got the volume on the music. Hold up, pause the volume here. Yeah, every you really don't see me smiling on this day too much. Uh, it just reminds me of if I was there back in 2001, which it's a matter of life or death. So the job that you got to do is serious. It's a matter of life or death. So you have to have the mentality of survival, the mentality of got to do what you got to do just to make it back. The warrior mentality. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, that mentality, man, is still within me. This mentality, you know, it's like I said before at the beginning of the show. Why would that guy try to come after me when I'm honoring my brother and sisters, my brother in arms? Because at that time, yeah, there was a couple of sisters, but there wasn't associated with us. It was just nothing but guys, right? So I'm honoring my brother in arms, the Battle of Medina Ridge, and then the dude when I come mess up what I'm celebrating the anniversary that we're still alive, that we was able to overcome the trials and tribulations, and I'm trying to send a message to my brother in arms, even though some of them are going through things, is not to give up in life, to keep on doing something, staying active, that's what I try to promote. Just like the photos uh, that I have is, it's always saying, never give up. Uh, Try to say something positive to keep the people motivated. Not just my brother and arms, but people in general. All right, let me take that off. Let me see if I can play something here off of YouTube. Uh, for y'all. Okay. I'm gonna play something for y'all for about 15 minutes to let you know it's something that somebody created, the Battle of Medina Ridge and Victory animated. So that's what I'm gonna right now here in Special Encrypted Encounters. Here we go. Let me share it. Ooh, what happened here? There we go. Let's make this big. The volume on. Let's push play.
This video is sponsored by NordVPN. A VPN, or virtual private network, allows you to securely and safely use the internet. And with over 5,300 Nord servers in 59 countries, you'll find a server near you delivering great bandwidth speeds. With NordVPN, you can open up a world of new content from all around the world that may have been previously locked to you. Simply open the map, click on a location, and you'll be connected to the internet via that region in seconds. TV series and films only available to stream in certain regions are now at your fingertips. By changing your location, you can also access deals on streaming services and games that are only available in certain regions. When watching the latest Operations Room release from public Wi-Fi, with NordVPN you can secure your internet traffic. Into Day 4, the US plus a bonus gift with a continue their advance east. Pulverizing the tower or nordvpn.com/opsroom. As the clock ticks through midnight into Day 4, the US Armored Divisions continue their advance east, pulverizing the Tawakona Republican Guard Division with few losses. The armoured fist punch that began with the Battle of 73 Easting yesterday has broadened into the Battle of Norfolk overnight, with hundreds of Iraqi tanks destroyed. Over the hours of the early morning, the American tanks continue the tactic employed thus far, to use their superior range against the Iraqi T-72s to keep them at arm's length while destroying them. A brigade of the Adnan Republican Guard Division of motorized infantry moves south against the US 1st Armored Division overnight, and wounds 23 American soldiers with artillery fire. The Adnan are motorized and fast-moving as their vehicles are mostly made up of trucks and light armor. They are attacking to slow the 1st Armored Division's advance, to give their comrades in the Medinah Republican Guard Division to the east more time to set up defensive positions. The US MLRS batteries launch a devastating counterattack of cluster bomblets in return. Throughout the night, using their night vision optics, an entire battalion of Apache attack helicopters and Air Force A-10s move in and rain hell on the Adnan Division from above. Within a few hours, their resistance has ceased, and the hastily organised Adnan Division dissipates into the night, with those unable to escape surrendering. Behind the Republican Guard, the coalition air forces continue to hammer Iraqi commandeered vehicles retreating from the Kuwait theatre, along what would become known as the Highway of Death. Throughout days 3 and 4, the Iraqis have been setting fire to the Kuwaiti oil wells as they retreat. The burning oil causes a massive environmental disaster in the area. Despite the Iraqis believing that the rugged terrain south of the Euphrates Valley is too difficult for an armoured division to negotiate, the 24th Infantry Division reached their objective, securing Highway 8 east of where the 101st had done so a couple of days earlier. They blockade the highway, destroying over 100 vehicles retreating westwards, with tank and tow fire. Bedouin nomads, watching from atop a nearby ridgeline, politely applaud as tank rounds hit their targets. Despite being slow out of the blocks, the Egyptian, Saudi, Syrian and Kuwaiti armoured divisions of Joint Forces Command North have carefully advanced into Kuwait against concentrated Iraqi defences. They have successfully destroyed multiple Iraqi frontline divisions and advanced northeast towards Kuwait City itself. The Arab forces of Joint Forces Command East also advanced towards the city. The 1st Marine Division sets its sights on the Kuwait City International Airport, and the 2nd Marine Division moves towards the west side of the city to cut off any vehicles still retreating. As the sun rises, at 6 AM, the 1st Marine Division's task forces Shepherd and Papa Bear, who had held off a fierce Iraqi counterattack 2 days earlier, breach the airfield perimeter and advance across the runways towards what's left of the hangars. The fight that they had planned for never materializes. US battleship gunfire bombardment and airstrikes have reduced the airport to ruins, and the area is deserted of Iraqis. A US and a Kuwaiti flag are raised over the airport, but after consideration of political etiquette, the US flag is lowered. Demonstrating excellent political awareness, General Schwarzkopf orders all US Marines to halt their advance into Kuwait City itself. He knows how important it is to the people that Kuwaiti forces advance into and liberate their own capital. At 9 AM, Kuwaiti troops enter the suburbs of their beloved city. With the liberation of Kuwait City in sight, the other coalition war goal, to eliminate the Republican Guard as an effective fighting force in the region, is ongoing. With the battle for Objective Norfolk ongoing to their south, at just after midday, the 2nd Brigade of the US 1st Armored Division edged forward in the haze towards the Medinah Republican Guard Division. With the Tawakkalna nearly finished off, and the Adnan Republican Guard Division swept aside earlier, the Medinah Division are now the last organised force to stand up to American armour. Behind the Medinah lies 7 Iraqi logistics sites for the Kuwaiti theatre. To the rear and left of the US 1st Armoured Division is the 3rd Armoured Cavalry Regiment of 18 Corps, trying to catch them up on the outside with the 24th Infantry Division. Poor positional coordination between 7 and 18 Corps results in gunners from the 3rd Armoured Cavalry mistaking the rear of 1st Armoured for Iraqis. A brief friendly fire incident results in 1 American killed. With ongoing airstrikes harassing them, the Medinah have been slow and disorganised in arranging their defensive line. Some units are still pointing southwest, expecting a coalition thrust from the area of the ongoing Battle of Norfolk in that direction. As the 348 Abrams tanks of the 1st Armoured Division approach from the west, the Iraqi troops are using the false safety of overcast rainy weather to eat a lunch of rice and tomatoes with a distinct lack of onions outside of their vehicles. In a similar tactic to the Tawakkalna Division yesterday, the Medinah's tanks are waiting on the other side of a small hill, ready to hit American tanks as they crest it. But they've made a critical error. They have failed to verify their exact distance to the crest of the hill, and are entrenched out of range of it with their T-72s.
Excuse me, sir, how old were you when you made your first million?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the younger generation.
As the American tanks in the centre and left flank crest the hill, their commanders begin to pick out targets through their thermal imaging sensors in the murk. At 12:17 PM, the first rounds rip into the unsuspecting Iraqi T-72s. The American commanders calculate that they are beyond the range of the enemy tanks, and so halt on the high ground. The Iraqis, scrambling into their tanks, helplessly return fire at the muzzle flashes in the miss, their rounds falling short of the American line. For the next 40 minutes, the engaged elements of the 1st Armoured Division simply sit there picking off Iraqi tanks and armoured vehicles with impunity. The Iraqis desperately call in artillery support, but the rounds fall behind the front line of Abrams tanks. Without any real way of knowing where the rounds are landing, the artillery continues without correction and misses. The 75th Field Artillery Brigade and the 1st and 25th Field Artillery Regiments respond. Using artillery acquisition radars, the US artillery is able to detect the firing of an Iraqi artillery piece, pinpoint its exact position, and return counter-artillery fire on it before the Iraqi round has even landed. Within just a few minutes, 2 entire artillery battalions of the Medinah Division have been wiped out, and the US artillery can focus its attention on the Iraqi armour. To their north, the 24th Infantry Division begin a similar attack on the Jabbar and Talil air bases, defended by the significantly weakened but spirited Nebuchadnezzar Republican Guard Division. 40 minutes after the battle began, the Medinah's right flank has been completely destroyed, and the right flank of the American force is just beginning to smash into the Medinah's left. In this sector, many Iraqi tanks are pointing southwest. The nearest tanks are destroyed before they can even rotate their turrets towards the Americans. Those that do fire back find that they are again outranged. Scrambled air power is now arriving to expedite the destruction. Apache attack helicopters come to hover just behind the front line of Abrams and Bradleys. They launch Hellfire missiles over the heads of their comrades into the enemy. A-10s also arrive overhead and pummel Iraqi vehicles just outside the range of the ground forces. In the midst of the carnage, General Franks, commander of 7 Corps, flies to visit Major General Griffith, commander of the 1st Armoured Division. However, the pilots of his helicopter get lost, and they fly over the Iraqi line. His helicopter flies from the Iraqi lines towards the US line. With his Black Hawk equipped with stub wings and external fuel tanks, in the mist they could easily have been mistaken for a similar looking Iraqi Mi-24 attack helicopter. It's a miracle that neither Iraqi nor American air defences opened fire on him. The battle would become known as the Battle of Medinah Ridge. It lasts just 2 hours, during which 186 Iraqi tanks and 172 armoured vehicles are destroyed. 4 American Abrams tanks are lost. After-action reports conclude most likely to Iraqi tank fire, but that friendly fire by the Apaches can't be ruled out. After the war, Colonel Montgomery Magis, the commander of the 2nd Brigade of the 1st Armoured Division, would pay tribute to the bravery of the Medinah Republican Guard Division. "These guys stayed and fought," he said. In the afternoon of Day 4, both the Tawakalna and Medinah Republican Guard Divisions are now effectively destroyed. The Adnan, Nebuchadnezzar and Al-4 infantry divisions are routed and retreating. The avenue to the coast is now open, and the race is on to cut off these 3 divisions and the Hammurabi Armoured Division before they can make their escape north of the Euphrates. Airstrikes involving A-10s and 4 Apache battalions of the 101st Airborne are directed against all of them to try to slow down their retreat until 7 and 18 Corps, now struggling for fuel with the very long supply routes from Saudi Arabia, can arrive to destroy them. The bombing and killing is merciless on the retreating and disorganised Iraqi forces, both in eastern Iraq and at the Highway of Death. General Schwarzkopf and President Bush in Washington agree that to continue the killing for the sake of killing risks the coalition losing moral authority on the world stage, not to mention the psychological effects on their troops in the merciless killing of those who can no longer fight back. They begin to discuss and prepare for a ceasefire. In the meantime, 7 and 18 Corps continue to chase east towards the coast, attempting to envelop enemy divisions. Further south, having completed their objectives ahead of schedule in the afternoon, 7 Corps Commander General Franks had planned for the British 1st Armoured Division to head northeast into the area of the fleeing Republican Guard. But after another friendly fire incident this morning, where gunners from the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars were wounded by tank shells of the US 1st Infantry Division, he makes a political call. More British troops have regrettably now been killed and wounded by US friendly fire than by Iraqis, and parading the British 1st Armoured in front of the exhausted 1st Infantry Division is likely to result in further tragedy. Accepting a change in orders with good humour, General Rupert Smith relays Frank's instructions to his troops. Advance east and cut off any further retreating Iraqis from Kuwait City at the coast to the north. Refusing to once again be shot at by allies, the British crews hoist Union Jacks and regimental colours atop their vehicles. Like their predecessors in North Africa, the Desert Rats race across the desert, thousands of flags fluttering in the wind. The US Air Force is caught off guard for a special mission planned. It was their intention to dispatch F-111s to Baghdad in a final attempt to kill Saddam Hussein himself, but the war is coming to an end far sooner than anticipated. On Wednesday afternoon, a C-141 delivers a pair of 4,700-pound GBU-28 bunker-busting bombs, which are swiftly loaded onto the aircraft and sent out. The GBU-28 have been crash developed over the last 6 months. The 2 delivered are still warm to the touch from the molten explosive material poured in by the armourers in Florida just hours earlier. At 8 PM, the 2 F-111s scream over a bunker complex northwest of Baghdad and drop their large bombs. The first misses, but the second penetrates into the underground bunker system and kills everyone inside. It turns out that Saddam was not present. While the F-111s were en route, General Schwarzkopf leaves his war room to host a press conference to the world media. For the first time, he explains the coalition's war strategy and progress up until this moment, and reports that the gates are closed to Iraqi forces retreating north. As the coalition ground forces are still racing east to try to cut them off in time, what he means is that he believes that air power alone is slowing the retreat fast enough that 7 Corps will eventually get there in time. Unfortunately, this isn't the case, and the Adnan, Nabushadnezzar, and Al-4 divisions and the remnants of the Medinah escape over the Euphrates throughout the night. 7 Corps continues east into the following morning, destroying straggling units, seizing logistics areas, and rounding up prisoners of war. At 8 AM on the 28th of February 1991, the 5th day of the ground war of Desert Storm, a cessation of hostilities order is sent to all coalition forces. The Gulf War is over. Over the coming months, after the euphoria of victory wears off, questions will be asked about the decision to cease hostilities so soon, and whether the imagery of the slaughter south of Basra and the Highway of Death would have been worth the strategic war goal of destroying the Republican Guard for good. But the primary war goal for the 35 nations that mobilized against Saddam Hussein was to rid Kuwait of Iraqi forces. Thanks to an elite display of generalship by Coalition Commander General Norman Schwarzkopf and the hard work, dedication, bravery and sacrifice of the armed forces that stood together, the Kuwaiti flag rightly flies over Kuwait City.
The advice for anybody joining the military is, if you join, there is jobs where you don't have to be up in the front lines. Like when I joined because of a commercial of a tank flying in the air, and I said that's what I want to do. Oh, sure, we can get you in there. I just didn't know that that's a job to be in the front lines. But of course, I perform my job to the fullest of its capabilities. There's other things you can do. I mean, they do take care of you and your family, take care of you, but there are other jobs. I would say study their ASVAB. I think it's an ASVAB test that you take, and try to get the highest score as possible. If you really were joined, study, take it and to retake it. If you have to take it numerous times, you get a high score, so you can get to know the test. So like that, you can get other jobs besides being in the front lines. You get the infantry, tankers, artillery, and then you got cooks. But then there's other jobs, desk jobs you can do also. So that would be my advice to anybody who wants to join the military, is get a job that you don't have to be out there in the front lines and put your life in danger. No, they're not saying everything. I mean, they can only say for whatever say. We were told to do a ceasefire, not to. Our mission was no prisoners. Our mission was no prisoners. So whatever was coming up against us, we're supposed to destroy, eliminate. But then they had a ceasefire. The helicopter that was flying around, they call it ceasefire. They said they didn't want it to become like genocide, so they told us to ceasefire. And we seen the tanks crossing the back across the border. They did not cross overnight, but we seen them leave back into Iraqi. Then guess the other ones came later on, but I never seen nobody go in front of us. But I think there was some. I guess they were making sure that the enemy crossed the border or something. But yeah, I would have. I mean, I would train. You know, I would run a lot, work out, and all that. You know, I would do something different. You know, I mean, really can't say if I could do anything different because you know what I had, the obstacles I had to go through. I had to go through. I think it was meant to be for me to go that way, but maybe not be so. How should I say? Well, I had my defensive guards all the time, you know, because what I endured when I was with my mother. So my guards were always up, but didn't trust nobody. So, you know, but in such a way, that's what saved me by not trusting that many people. That it kept me focused on the mission to try to make it back in one piece. No, I don't think I would change nothing if I've been, you know, as a person. You know, it was just that stage of life. But I was just making this video just to honor my brother and sisters in arms. Look what I got here in my hands. I got two big jackpots going off, and I think I'm fixing to call it a night. So I was just honoring my brothers in arms to all the people that done served in Operation Desert Storm, and to my brother in arms, my combat brothers, Iron Knights. But in saying that, brothers and sisters, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for those that tuned in to me talking about this, the Battle of Medinah Ridge. Yes, sister Madeline. But I'm going to call it a night now, brothers and sisters. It's been a long day for me. The main key now is always maintain a Heavenly Love Foundation. Prayer is important. When you're went up in a situation like that, prayer, call upon the Heavenly Father to assist you. You know, just like I prayed against the gen out there when I seen it in action, what he was doing. You know, I was praying our Father to protect all my combat brothers that were fighting on the front lines. You're welcome. And for the guy that was trying to argue here while I'm talking about this, you know, we'll see if you show up tomorrow because, you know, see a lot of excuses. But I'm not gonna. Well, tomorrow you can show up and talk what you want to talk about. But you know, you're not gonna be coming into spiritual encrypted encounters and disrespecting my moderators and subscribers. And just letting you know that. I want to thank everybody that tuned in here tonight, supporting spiritual encrypted encounters. The only thing we got is memories, brothers and sisters, that stay with us, you know, that makes us who we are as individuals, you know. Any experiences you go through, you're going to remember. Just like I remember this. I mean, it happened, you know, remember it like it was yesterday, you know, when you experience something. But in saying that, the guy that came in here that trying to jump on, that you kept on and kept on and kept on, you know, I was thinking about tomorrow for you to be able to jump on, and, you know, we'll see what we talk about tomorrow. But if you're going to jump on and try to argue, I'm just going to boot you out because I don't got time for that. That's not what spiritual encrypted encounters is about. And you said that we're making fun of you. Well, the person we made fun of was the person that's been trolling me for a long time. I'm just letting you know that and my moderators, I give them permission if they feel if account is being fraudulent to boot them out. You know, I'll give them that permission. So if you want to be upset with somebody, you can be upset with me, but you come in here as I'm talking about my experience and you're just disrupting the chat. I was going to boot you out, man. I'm going to be honest. And you say you're upset and all this stuff, you know, I'm talking about something that I experienced in combat. And you're just disrupting the chat. But I'll let you stay in here. I know if you're here in Alfredo or whatever your name is. But if you come back tomorrow when I'm do live, and I'm letting you know already, you come here disrespecting my moderators because I give them the permission to boot out anybody that's suspect of being a troll, then I'm going to boot you out myself. Just letting you know. But anyways, thank you all. God bless you. Have a good night and a wonderful weekend. This is Brother Apesius. Sarnsius signing off from Spiritual Encrypted Encounters and Iron Knights to all my combat brothers. Peace out, brothers and sisters. Thank you, moderators, for doing an awesome job. And you ain't done nothing wrong, you know, because I give you permission. If you see somebody suspicious, put them out. Especially if they're trying to interrupt the live feed. And you're following the orders that I gave you. So there you go. Thank you. God bless y'all. Good night, everybody. Peace out.